Seriously, what the hell? You know, guys, when you think about it, we've taken out a lot of Zoogles. Like, a whole lot.
You can say that again. If one thing's for certain in this world, it's that wherever we go, we'll always end up bumping into them.
Isn't it weird that they're still so plentiful? You don't think the Renans have, like, a ranch where they breed them, do you?
Certainly in all of my years, I've never heard of them constructing such a massive facility on Dana, let alone up in Lenegis.
The only thing I can think of, then, is that the feral ones must be reproducing on their own.
There's also no organized effort on our part to hunt them down, so it's difficult to fully exterminate them.
Exterminate them? Whoa, don't you think that's maybe a little harsh?
What do you mean?
Zoogles originally used to be living creatures native to Dana and Rena, right? Being genetically modified isn't their fault.
You're right. Zoogles were only created because of us Renans. We altered the original creatures to suit our own ends.
First, people made Zoogles, and then we let them go. And now we're trying to kill them because they're a threat. They really have only seen the very worst, huh?
I hope we find a way to be able to live side by side with them one day.
It's a nice thought, but they attack towns and cities. What else are we supposed to do?
Aside from the strays that have gone wild, it's worth remembering that Renans are able to keep them somewhat under control.
If we had distinct territories that didn't overlap, that might reduce the danger they pose.
Well, I guess when you look at it that way, maybe people and Zoogles aren't so different after all.
I thought there'd be more dirt and rocks and stuff underneath the hollowed ocean, but it's all artificial.
I would imagine they're remnants left behind by the Helganquil, seeing as there's little actual land remaining.
It's incredible. Do you think it stretches all the way down to the center of the planet?
Hey, these guys built Lenegis, remember? They probably did this in a weekend.
If they had the power to create things like this, did they really only use those immense capabilities to serve the Great Spirit? Or rather, was that the only use the Great Spirit let them use their capabilities for? We haven't seen anyone here except Helganquil. Looks like this place really is their home planet.
The true citizens of Rena. What a shame that they have become nothing more than puppets to the Great Spirit. To think of the promise their accomplishments once held. They had the potential to be great indeed.
Do you think we could have got along with them? You know, if we had met under different circumstances. Like
all of us, you mean? I suppose it's difficult to say for sure. We don't even know if they would see us as being on an equal level with them or not.
I think we may have had the chance once, before the Renan Great Spirit came along and changed everything.
You and Alphen both share an optimism. A strong willingness to believe in hope.
Do you think that's foolish?
On the contrary, I should like to take a leaf from your book myself. In tragedy's aftermath, hope is all we have.
Just look at the size of that thing. The Helganquil's technology certainly is impressive. And they don't seem to do things by halves either. In the past 300 years. No, even before that. Just how many people, Renan or Danan, do you think have ever seen this?
Regarding the past 3 centuries at least, I'd say there's a good chance that we're the first. Also, while I get that it's impressive and all, I'm just amazed you're still standing around gawping at it at a time like this. Sometimes I wonder about your priorities.
I can understand where he's coming from. More to the point, does anyone know where it leads?
What do you mean where it leads? To the center of the planet, of course.
And that doesn't strike you as sounding just a little bit, oh, I don't know, far? There has to be a quicker way to get there, right?
Yeah. With all this technology at their fingertips, it seems pretty unlikely that they'd make that kind of journey on foot. There must be some kind of device somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out how to use it.
Borrow one of their contraptions? You're either brave or out of your mind.
If it works for them, there's no reason it wouldn't for us. Why make things harder for ourselves?
You know what he's like, Law. Once he gets an idea in his head, there's no talking him out of it.
I wonder how the Renans avoided being mind-controlled like the Helganquil. Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that they were originally Danans?
I'd say it's likely. Which is pretty ironic when you think about it.
Ironic?
The Renans have committed grave injustices against the Danans. But it was all of their own volition. not because they were being controlled. Now, it turns out they themselves were once Danans too.
Which must mean that the root of their evil isn't the Great Spirit, but something inherent in all of us. Our free will.
Now hang on, though. It was that same free will that allowed Xion and Dohalim to choose to fight alongside us. Without it, we wouldn't have been able to beat hatred and forge all those connections we've made. Free will is what saved us, right?
Law's entirely right. In any case, it certainly can't hurt to look on the bright side every now and then.
Yeah. Where there's hope, there's a way.
What'd he say?
He said, without a doubt.
Hey, new...
What do you think this place was for? Ah!
What the hell? Are they asleep?
No. They appear to be well preserved. However, they are all dead.
Dead? So this is a mass grave?
Looks that way. However, none of them appear to be Helganquil.
Bear in mind that Renans were originally Danans, who were remade and sent to live on Lenegus. Knowing that, they would have needed a place to perform the procedures somewhere.
And that place is here, I assume.
So what you're saying is that all of these are Danan, or rather, Renan bodies?
Most likely, yes. It must have been abandoned for one reason or another.
There are so many of them. They were all taken away, but never given the chance to wake.
What is that thing?
Something we have to fight if we want to get across, it seems.
Be careful! It's huge!
Alphen! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Energy! Astral energy! Full throttle!
The hell was that thing?
Probably something that was made here and somehow managed to survive, even after all this time. Not that there's any way of knowing now.
What's wrong?
Oh, I just suddenly found myself contemplating what might have happened to the sovereigns that were meant to emerge from the crown contests.
What do you mean?
You see, the winners of the past crown contests were all strong astral arts practitioners. Furthermore, that enemy we just fought appeared to be composed of several human bodies. It was certainly nothing one would find in nature.
You're saying those were the remains of the winners? That they forgot who they once were?
I'm merely saying it's a possibility.
That's absolutely gruesome. How long had the Helganquil been at this?
It was Rena's great spirit that made them do all of this. Anything to get its astral energy.
So, looks like the Helganquil have been engineering Zeugles too. Why doesn't that surprise me at this point?
The creatures we've been encountering here have been a little different to what we're used to fighting, but I'm pretty sure they're Zeugles too.
Do you think they were engineered using creatures native to the area?
Indeed. However, based on the current circumstances, I would guess these Zoogles are all that's left of the planet's fauna now.
You mean, there might have been native owl species here once upon a time too?
What are those? They look like Shion's thorns, and with flowers too.
Not real ones though. They're just like that flower growing out of Rena.
We must be getting close to the Great Spirit now.
Hey, Rinwell, what was that thing you said about how a little bit of Dana's Great Spirit is inside all of us?
Right. That's why Dana's Great Spirit is so much more diluted. Weak even. Whether it was a choice so it didn't overpower others, or just the way it is anyone's guess.
If that's true, then wouldn't it mean Dana's will could never form under natural conditions?
Yeah, sounds like that's probably the case.
So if Dana exists within all of us, then what if something occurred that brought everyone's hearts and minds together as one? That unity could potentially act as Dana's will.
You mean if everybody was, like, thinking the exact same thing at the exact same time? Come on, there's no way we could pull that off.
I know it's a long shot, but it might work.
Let's assume that's even possible for a second. Would it even be enough to fight back against Rena's Great Spirit?
If nothing else, it might be an option if we can't use the Renis Alma.
So here's a question. We came all this way to Rena on the assumption the Renis Alma's here, right?
Don't say it, Law.
Yeah, but I'm just saying...
I said don't.
I can understand why you might be concerned, Law. But you need to remember that there are people it affects more directly than you.
Oh, sorry.
We've managed to make it this far believing. Losing faith now won't do us any good. We're better off focusing our anxiety elsewhere.
Such as?
The Great Spirit. If Hevrect 35's to be believed, our enemy won't just be handing over the Renis Alma to us. At least, not without a fight.
Not only that, but that same enemy just gulped down more than an entire world's worth of astral energy.
Point taken. It may be strange to say, but when I'm fighting, or at least know what needs to be done, it helps me a lot. I don't doubt myself as much. So thanks, both of you. The floor's on the ceiling and the ceiling's on the floor. This whole thing's making my head spin. Why would they even do something like this?
The Helganquil can bend life forms to suit their will. Nothing they could do at this point would surprise me.
The ceiling is on the floor. That doesn't weird you out?
What good is a team made up of members who all share the same opinions on everything? And besides, when you get to be at my ripe old age, one begins to consider it quite uncouth to show one's true emotions at times.
Oh, come on, Grandpa. You can't be that old.
The sands of time wait for none of us, lad.
Yeah, we'll see. Though at this rate, I guess I'll have to live long enough to get as old as you first, huh?
You will. And when the time comes, I look forward to hearing you change your tune on the matter.
The astral energy here is so dense. It's like trying to walk through water.
I know the Great Spirit's will is in the center of Rena, but with the world in this state, the entire planet has become its body, right? So doesn't that mean we're already inside it?
I would say that is horrifyingly correct. After all, the further we climb, the denser the astral energy becomes.
What's the matter, Rinwell? Are you not feeling all right?
No, it's nothing like that. It just feels like the energy here is a little more intense than it was before.
You mean Rena's energy?
Yeah. It's like when I made contact with Dana's will in the wedge. It's almost as though I can understand what Rena's will is thinking.
But Rena's will is supposed to be a lot stronger. Aren't we risking the Great Spirit controlling us if we interact with it directly?
I don't think we have to worry about that. Rena's will is only supposed to control true Renans, like the Helganquil. If we can discern what the Great Spirit is thinking too, we might learn something, a weakness. But just to be safe, let me contact it alone.
Are you insane? Rinwell, you're gonna...
Rinwell!
There was only meant to be one world. And your goal is to make them one. Is this fear? What just happened?
Are you all right? Rinwell? Rinwell, are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I think.
What were you thinking? You could have gotten yourself killed!
He's right. You had us all terrified, Rinwell.
I'm sorry. I really am. But I know now. I know how the Great Spirit thinks. I know what it wants, how it feels. Rena's Great Spirit wants to complete the world.
What's that supposed to mean? Are you saying it's trying to make something?
Yes, exactly. Originally, Dana and Rena were meant to be one world. But that never happened. They've stayed separated, and the Great Spirit wants to finish the process.
What do you mean, one world? How is that even possible?
I don't know, but its will is clear. That's what the Great Spirit is trying to accomplish. The only problem is that since Rena's energy isn't evenly spread like Dana's, it seems like it'll vanish before that happens naturally.
So it's trying to absorb Dana while it still can, so that it can force the two planets to unite. Is that what you're saying?
The Great Spirit is scared. But it's not scared the way a rational person would be. It's more raw and undiluted, like just pure fear.
Like an animal, acting out of instinct. Although admittedly, an animal would be easier to communicate with. At the very least, I have my doubts that it recognizes us as sentient beings with a reason for coming here. Earth, water, fire, and wind energy exist in both worlds, but only darkness and light can be found within Rena and Dana, respectively. The Renis Alma, as far as we know, the only host capable of harvesting the astral energy, is composed of all six. Knowing all that, Rinwell's findings do sound plausible.
That sounds a lot like Shion's thorns, doesn't it? The whole reason the Great Spirit is trying to unite Dana and Rena into one world is in order to save itself. And if her thorns are part of the Great Spirit, then they must also be trying to save themselves?
Alphen, what is it?
We thought the only way to free your thorns was for you to die. Yet despite that, they seem to be doing everything in their power to stop that from happening to you. Something wasn't adding up. But then I just realized something. If the Great Spirit doesn't want to die, then neither would your thorns. Those same emotions, that fear, that determination, and its energy must have been the same thing that was keeping you alive. You were its vessel.
In that case, is that why her thorns caused so much pain to anyone who touched her? Because they were trying to protect themselves?
If that's all true, then... well, it's more than a little ironic.
The Great Spirit merely expresses its desires. I imagine it was the Helganquil who were likely tasked with putting together and implementing an actual plan.
Shion.
I'm okay. We need to hurry and clean this mess up before it gets out of hand.
Still, even if the current state of the world is wrong like you said, does that really make everything okay?
If the world had been whole from the start, as it should have been, there'd be no Dana and no Rena, no masters or slaves, no lords, no crown contest, maybe just peace.
To think, all this started because of the Great Spirit's desire to keep living. The only reason it craves energy is because it's dying from starvation. When you think about it like that, maybe the things it's done aren't so strange after all.
If Rena had been more like Dana, things would have worked out a whole lot better.
It's like Hevrect 35 told us. The Danon and Renan spirits are meant to be completely different beings.
Rena's energy amassing in one place led to its developing a powerful will. But that also made it crave energy, sapping Rena dry until it perished.
Whereas Dana's energy is dispersed, meaning its will never developed to the same extent. And without that hunger, Dana the planet was spared.
As for which is correct, well, I'm not sure it's our place to even say. Still, I can't help but think it reminds me a lot of the dichotomy of the human condition.
Dichotomy? What do you mean?
Those who know not satisfaction are driven to keep devouring without limit. But those who are content with their lot in life rarely fulfill their potential. I imagine it's likely that the larger Rena's great spirit grew, the more and more powerful its hunger also became.
Everything in moderation. When all's said and done, maybe that's the hardest thing for people to learn.
Got a bad feeling about that.
Law, get toasty!
Bird strike!
Johalim, this one's got your name on it!
Action to action!
NANI?!
Yukara, go for it!
Prepare to crumble! Finish it!
Johalim, this one's got your name on it!
Action to action!
A dead end, huh?
Why don't we just use this?
Wait!
Jeez! Don't scare me like that! What, is there something wrong with it?
No, it's not that. It's just... this is it. Whatever it is, we're about to find out.
It's the moment of truth. There's no turning back now till we've won. Either we get through this, or we vanish along with the rest of the world as we know it. Is everyone ready?
We've come this far. I'm not about to turn tail now. I say we knock this thing out and head back home.
It's time to relegate the past to where it belongs. It's been a long journey getting here, but it ends now.
No, this isn't the end. Once we've overthrown the old order, there's still the task of creating a new world.
A world without divisions, where no one cares whether you're Danon or Renan, or if you have magic or not. You're right. We have to win this.
Let's get going then. After all, our future awaits.
Our future. One free of tyranny and exploitation. For the freedom to live with those we hold dear. And for a new era. Let's go! Are we on that giant flower?
We're finally here then.
But then, where is the core of the Great Spirit? Or the Renaissance, for that matter?
According to Hevrek 35, this should be where we find the core.
Rinwell, do you sense anything?
This is definitely where the energy of the Great Spirit is strongest, but what's giving off the most energy is the flower we're standing on.
That said, we're not gonna be able to destroy something this huge. You want me to hit it and see what happens?
Hey, look!
The Renaissance!
Is that right, Dana's astral energy? But why?
What?
Stay sharp! Something's coming!
Once it's gone, it has so much anger. All of its fear has evolved into hatred.
So then, you're saying that this is the Great Spirit's core?
And in order to fight us, it's taken on this form?
My thorns. I feel them whirling inside me. They're getting restless. I'm certain of it. This is the source of my thorns, and of my visions. This is the darkness that will consume all existence.
What do we do now? The Renaissance is inside that thing. And I don't think we'll win this fight without it.
We have to get it back. We will find a way somehow!
Agreed. And now that it has a physical form, cutting through it's what we'll do.
Great Spirit, I understand you want to live. You've made that very clear. However, if you're planning on destroying everything, At first, you'll have to get through us. Everyone, let's go!